It's a beautiful thing. All right, well, let's turn to the Word, shall we? If you have your Bible, please take it out. If you need one, there's Bibles in the pew back in front of you, or you can open your digital Bibles to Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 1 through 15. We're continuing this morning our sermon series in the book of Ecclesiastes entitled, Life is a Vapor. Life is a Vapor. In this morning's text, Ecclesiastes 3, our title this morning is Time is God's Design. In 2013, a tech entrepreneur named Brian Johnson sold his company to PayPal and made millions of dollars off it. Around that time, he also became quite disillusioned with religion and started looking for a purpose in life. And what Brian did with his vast wealth is he decided to devote his life to stopping death. In fact, he spends, it's estimated, over $2 million a year on every possible experimental treatment known to man to arrest death, to stop it, to slow down this body's decay. He takes over 130 pills a day. He's got supplements and vitamins. He goes into experimental surgeries. He does gene therapy, blood transfusions. He has doctors. He's built in his house a hospital-level laboratory to test his blood multiple times a day, controls his sleep and his exercise. His goal is to turn back his biological clock back to the way it was when he was 18. And he's going to do everything and spend every dollar he has on that mission. There's actually a Netflix documentary covering this man's life and his ambition to turn back the clock and stop time. Now, I don't have Brian's millions. I don't think many of us here do either. But we all are on the same mission as Brian, aren't we? So often we take everything we have trying to get control over time. We want to slow it down. That's anti-aging creams that we put on, or clothes that just like suck things in and make them look the way they used to look when we were 18. Or we try to just like squeeze everything we can out of every second of life. While I'm driving, I'm going to be fixing my hair and listening to a podcast and growing my understanding of true crime or whatever, and typing out an email and also making sure I don't hit the car in front of me and putting out an argument that's in the back seat. And all of this, I'm going to get everything I can get out of every second of time. I can't even stop when I'm in the shower. I got to be listening to something. I got to be doing something. I got to be learning something. I got to be accomplishing something. And every minute of every day, I got to get as much I can out of time. But Brian will eventually discover, what perhaps you've already realized, is we can't control time. We can't stop it. We can't slow it down. We can't go back. We can't speed it up. Every day has 24 hours, and every hour has 60 minutes, and every minute has 60 seconds, and it just keeps moving forward. Whatever we try to do, it's going to move forward. Can't go back to being 18 again. We can't go back to being on our varsity high school football team anymore. Like we can't change time. We can't stop it or slow it down. In today's text, what Solomon wants us to see is that this passage of time, this unrelenting march of time that goes from 1 minute to the next, it's actually God's design. That time is God's design. It's not an enemy we need to fight, but it's actually a reason to rejoice and a reason for us to stand in awe of the designer. Look with me at Ecclesiastes chapter 3, starting in verse 1. This is the word of the Lord. For everything, there is a season, and a time for every matter under the sun. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to pluck up what is planted. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to carry away stones, cast away stones, and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep, and a time to cast away, a time to tear, and a time to sow, a time to keep silence, and a time to speak, a time to love, and a time to hate, a time for war, and a time for peace. What gain has the worker from all his toil? I have seen the business that God has given to the children of man to be busy with. He's made everything beautiful in its time. Also, He's put eternity into man's heart, yet so that he cannot find out what God has done from the beginning to the end. I perceived that there is nothing better for them than to be joyful and do good as long as they live. Also, that everyone should eat and drink and take pleasure in all his toil. This is God's gift to man. I perceived that whatever God does endures forever. Nothing can be added to it, nor anything taken from it. God has done it so that people fear before Him. That which is already has been. That which is to be already has been. And God seeks out what has been driven away. Lord, thank you for your purposeful design of time. Lord, thank you that time is your dominion and not ours. Lord, thank you that we can rejoice and stand in awe of you in the midst of time, not because we know how it's all going to work out, but we know the one who has time in his hands. Lord, help us to see you clearly in time this morning. Help us to see you clearly in your design for our lives this morning. I pray that you would speak to every heart here. In Jesus' name, amen. Well, the title of our sermon is also the big idea. If you want to write something down this morning, it's very simple. Time is God's design. That God is the one who has appointed every season, every age, every moment of our lives on this earth. And Solomon begins our passage by sharing this poem, helping us to see that time is God's design. So here's how we're going to break down this text. First, we're going to look at his poem and examine this idea that time is God's design. And then we're going to look at two implications that Solomon gives of that truth. Time is his design, and then two implications of that truth. Let's look at the poem. You'll notice the poem here at the beginning of Solomon's section here is made up of 14 pairs of ideas, each opposite truths. Now, 14 is a multiple of 7. So, and whatever 28 is 4 sevens. 7 in Scripture is completeness. This is 4 completenesses. So the idea here is that all of life is under God's dominion. And these 14 things really capture the complexity and nuance of life. It's variety, from a time to be born to a time to die, from a time of laughing at a wedding to a time of weeping at a funeral. He says every season, every part of God's design of time has a place and a time. Some of the things in this list are good and bad. You have a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to love and a time for hate. Some of them are just different. They might be good at one time and bad at another. A time to plant and a time to dig up what's planted. Good if it's the time to plant. Bad to dig up things when it's not time to dig them up. A time to seek and a time to lose or to give up seeking. There's a right time to look for something and a right time to ask your wife to come and find it for you, right? Some things are things we have control over, and other things in here we have no control whatsoever. Right? I can choose when to keep silent and when to speak. I don't personally get to choose when wars begin and end, right? And so there's this complex tapestry to life with all of these layers and colors, each season with its counterpart, one often overlapping the next. I mean, yesterday we had a funeral here. We laughed, we danced, we sang, we cried, we wept, we grieved. All of it kind of mixed into a barrel together. Solomon says, everything there is a season, a time for every matter under the sun. Everything has its place. I've heard this text, this poem read at secular, humanistic funerals, not Christian funerals, to celebrate the beauty of life. And and the complexity of life and how lovely it is. But what I never heard at a secular funeral reading this text is how Solomon ends the poem, what he says immediately after the poem. Look what he says. It's something quite surprising. After describing life in all its beauty, he says this in verse 9, "What gain has the worker from all his toil?" The implied answer is nothing. See, Solomon didn't write this poem to show us just how beautiful life is all on its own. He wrote this poem to show us how beautiful life is when it leads us to the God who designed time. See, if all this life, if all of the beauty, all the complexity, all the give and take, all the up and down, all the symmetry, if this is all there is, it doesn't actually lead us anywhere. Notice the way he wrote this, each item has something else that cancels us out. Every good thing has a bad thing to cancel it out. Every finding has a losing. Every birthing comes with a dying. Every sowing comes with a tearing. If this life is it, then the constraints of life and death, the balancing act of life become a prison for us. It's a ticking clock that leads us to the end. We're on a river that's being swept towards the rapids, swept over the edge of the falls, and we're just getting closer every day. And we're like Brian Johnson, just trying as hard as we can to paddle backwards and get back upstream, but we can't. It's time, life has no designer, and this is all we have. It's not beautiful, it's terrifying. But if time was designed by God, then Solomon tells us this is actually a reason to rejoice. So now we have the first of the two responses we ought to have to the truth that time is God's design. The first one is that we ought to take pleasure in his plan. If time is God's design, then we should take pleasure in his plan. Have you ever done a jigsaw puzzle before? We love jigsaw puzzles. If you take one given piece of a jigsaw puzzle and you look at it, it's not much to look at, right? Sometimes it's just one color. Maybe it's just all black and you don't see anything in it, and it's got these jagged edges and it looks strange. But when you put it into the picture that it's designed to go in, it's a part of this beautiful, lovely image. Solomon says time is like that. We don't get to see the big picture, but all the little jagged pieces actually fit together into something beautiful designed by God. Look in verse 10. He says, I've seen the business that God has given to the children of man to be busy with. He's looked at all the busyness God has given us. He says, God has made everything beautiful in its time. They all fit into this picture. Also, he's put eternity into man's heart, so we cannot find out what God has done from the beginning to the end. Solomon looks over all the things that God has given us, all the business of eating and sleeping and working and playing and scrolling Instagram and driving cars and going to work and all the things that he's given us to do. And he says, God has made it all beautiful in its time. See, if God is the designer, then all of these little pieces fit together into something beautiful. It's not haphazard. It's not an accidental arrangement. Nothing is just falling into place by accident. No, it's all intentional and beautiful. And that word beautiful, it can mean lovely, as in beautiful in appearance, but also appropriate, as in everything fits beautifully into its place. He's saying, I've looked at all the things God has given man to keep himself and herself occupied with in his life, and it all fits beautifully into its place. He says, God, he's put eternity into our hearts. But we can't find out what he's done from the beginning to the end. He's given us these souls that long for meaning, that long for purpose, that want to see how it all fits together, but we don't get to see the whole picture, right? I mean, when we do jigsaw puzzles, we put the box with the picture in front of us, so you can hold up the little jigsaw and turn it, and I think this kind of goes in that area. All the blue pieces over here and the green ones are over here. Yeah, we don't get that picture, do we? We get the little pieces of life. We have no box. We don't really know how it's all fitting together. And maybe we've got one piece that goes over here and one way over there, and we don't know how they fit together, but God does. What's the reason he has designed us this way? What's the reason he's put eternity into our hearts, but not shown us the whole picture? Well, it's so that we might take pleasure in his plan. Look at verse 12. He says, I perceived there is nothing better than for them, that's us, to be joyful and do good as long as they live. And also that everyone should eat and drink and take pleasure in all his toil. This is God's gift to man. It's his gift. This jigsaw puzzle of time that he's given to us is his gift to us. When Solomon is saying there's nothing better than to be joyful and do good, to eat, drink, and take pleasure in all his toil, he's adapting a phrase of the heathens that said, eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow you shall die. He said, no, eat, drink, and take pleasure because it's God's gift to you. This is not just pleasure for pleasure's sake. This is describing a life that takes pleasure in God so we can enjoy all of life. If the language here sounds familiar, it's because he used it in last week's text in 2:24. He's saying your life is a gift from God that you might enjoy him in all of your life. Here's the thing. Eternity in the soul isn't describing something that's a unique gift to Christians. He's put eternity into the heart of every man and woman and child. If you're here this morning, maybe you're a seeker, maybe you're trying to find truth, and there's something in you that longs for a meaning in life. There's something in you that longs for purpose in life, that wants to fit your life into some story that's bigger than yourself. That's eternity in your heart. That God has put that there that you might grope out for him and find him who's the designer of time, who's given your life meaning and purpose and intention. He's the one who's written the story that your life fits into. This is not just an accident of evolution that you have this longing. Birds and dogs and cats are happy to go about their life without having a big picture of what their purpose in life is. They're happy to just eat and drink and die. And they go about their life and they make babies and they go to the next, and they have no worries about what their meaning is. But God has put eternity in our hearts that we might reach out for him and long for him and find him. There's purpose to your life. There's meaning to your life. And that's not by accident. Your life has a designer. Time has a designer. And here's the thing, our designer, he's not like, this is no shade on architects, Cassie. He's not like an architect who sits in her air-conditioned office somewhere and draws up the design of time and then sends it down to some construction workers. You figure it out and make it. That's not the way Cassie designs things. She goes to the work site. God is a designer who himself came into the world he designed. God is a designer who came down into the dirt and the grime and the mud, the designer of time who came into time at the right time that he might bring salvation to his people. He sent his son, his own son, to be born of woman. He sent his son that he might have a time to weep and a time to be born. His son who dwelt in the belly of Mary and had to wait for his time to be born. You understand, he sat for 9 months feeding off the umbilical cord of Mary and had to wait for her to push him out. The God who designed time. Jesus, he took perfect pleasure in the plan of the Father. He said, into your hands I commit my spirit. Not my will, but yours be done. He embraced our time to die. Jesus took on our time to be torn, our time to be broken down, that we might be healed, that we might be embraced by God, that we might be given new birth and take pleasure in his plan for all of eternity. Jesus came and did what we fail to do in taking pleasure in God's perfect plan. You know, Christian, that the one who selected the time for this season of your life, the season for this time of your life, the things that you're walking through right now, this season of loneliness and coming home and there being no one at the house, this season of grieving or caring for aging parents while you're raising kids in the house and feeling stretched farther than you can reach. This season is selected by the God whose hands are torn and ripped for you. He's the one holding the puzzle pieces of your life out to you. And he makes everything beautiful in his time. The same God who raised Jesus from the dead has said, I'm going to take whatever season this is and make it beautiful in its time. It may not look beautiful to you right now, but he says it's going to be beautiful in its time. Just wait and see what I'm doing. David Gibson, in commenting on this text, he says it this way: part of growing up in the world is learning to grow small. God intends us to be like children who trust their parents to know best because they can see what the children can't see. God can see the whole picture, friends. And they know what the children are not yet able to know. Listen, if God showed you the picture of what he's doing with time, you wouldn't get it anyways. He knows what he's doing in this season of your life. You don't need to try to paddle quickly through it and get past it to get to the good parts. He's put you right here, right now, that you might enjoy him today. You don't have to paddle backwards and try to get back to what was before because that was better. No, God has put you here, right now, for this season, for this time, and he's making it beautiful in his time. You can take pleasure in the plan of God designed for you for right now. Oh, what a reason for us to rejoice and be glad all our days. Often God disrupts our plans. You know, we like having control. Some of you enjoy having everything in its place and everything just the way you like it, and God moves your, pot on the stovetop. He moves something in your life, and you don't like that, and you want it to go back to the way it was, and God says, no, I'm being disruptive because I love you. Time is God's design, so we can take pleasure in his plan. The second response Solomon gives us to God's design of time is that we might stand in awe of his might. We might stand in awe of his might. You see, God's design for time isn't just beautiful, it's also perfect and enduring and eternal. Look in verse 14. I perceive that whatever God does, how long does it endure? Forever. Nothing can be added to it, nothing can be taken from it. God has done it so that people fear before him. That which is already has been. That which is to be already has been, and God seeks out what has been driven away. God is not like you and me. When I finish a project, it immediately starts like falling apart. Like I cut the grass, and my grass has the audacity to begin growing again immediately. And like at this time of the year in South Florida, like a week later, it's already like up to my knees. What is that? I thought I had finished cutting you already. You sweep the floors, and you turn around, and there's like little kid footmarks all the way through the floors. You just finished mopping and cleaning. It just is never ending. We never quite come to the end of projects. But what God does endures, not just for a week or a month or a minute. It says whatever God does endures forever. What he does lasts. It's not just enduring, though. He says it's perfect and complete. Nothing can be added to it, nor anything taken away from it. When God does something, he doesn't do it part way. He doesn't take the trash out and then forget to put the bag back in. Right? God finishes what he starts, and when he finishes it, he does it perfectly. Right? God doesn't do something part way and then bring it to us and say, hey, I've got this draft of time. Can you give me some notes? Like, great job on time, God. This summer looks great, but, you've got 2 weeks of the flu this summer overlapping with my spouse. Can we just maybe shorten that to 3 days? Let's kind of figure out a better plan here. No, God's design of time is perfect and complete. Everything he's chosen is exactly as it ought to be. And it endures forever. So that when God says, it is finished, it's finished. It's not almost finished. It's not ready for the next stage. It's done. which means that his work of salvation, his work of salvation of his people, it's complete. It's done. He's finished it. There's nothing for you to add to it. It doesn't need notes or additions. It doesn't need a little extra to get across the finish line. It's complete. It's complete. Oh, that is a reason to stand in awe of God. The reason God's work is enduring and perfect and complete, unlike our work, which is fleeting and imperfect and incomplete, is because God is not like us. And Solomon tells us, well, he's going to go into the deep waters of theology here. He tells us that God's relationship to time isn't like yours and my relationship to time. Look at verse 15. He speaks about God's relationship to time. He says, that which is already has been. That which is to be already has been, and God seeks out that which has been driven away. God seeks out that which has been driven away as like a shepherd who goes back into the events of the past and brings them into the present. It's saying that for us, the past and the future are far out of reach. We can't get to them. They seem lost forever. They've been driven down the river of time, and we can't get to them anymore. But not for God. He stands outside the river and observes all of time. You see, God isn't just really old. God is not constrained by time. He's independent of it. He's not shackled by time like you and I are. We have to go one moment to the next, and when this moment's gone, it's gone forever for us. Not so for God. When God looks at the great picture of time that he's creating, he doesn't get one puzzle piece at a time. He sees the whole picture. For him, tomorrow is not something in the distant he has to wonder about. For God, tomorrow already is. And for God, the past still is. It's always and forever for God. He sees time different than you. He interacts with time different from you. It's not some plan that he has for time that he hopes will come to pass. He's already seen it. It's already there. It's already his. And if that's hard to get your head around, that's the whole point. You see, Solomon's goal isn't to get us to perfectly understand, well, how does that work with this? What about free will? What about God's sovereignty? What about how do we fit it all together? No. The point is he wants to stand in awe of God, that he's not like you, that he understands the time that you don't understand. He sees what you don't see. He brings it to the present. He gets it and you don't get it. Look at verse 14. God has done it. Why? So people would fear before him. He's done all of this. His relationship to time, the way he is so that you would fear him, that you would stand in awe of him, that you'd look at him and be overwhelmed by his majesty and power and might, that your life is in his hands and not yours, and that's a good thing because he sees it all. That we would say with Paul in Romans 11, oh, the depths of the riches of the wisdom of the knowledge of God, how unsearchable are his judgments, how inscrutable his ways, for who has known the mind of the Lord? Not me. Or who has been his counselor? Is he coming to you for advice? Or who has given him a gift that he might be repaid? For from him and through him and to him are all things. To him be the glory forever. Amen. Time is God's design. Stand in awe of his power. This is the God that you serve. This is the whole message of Ecclesiastes. This is the way Solomon ends his book, the second to last verse in all of Ecclesiastes. He says, the end of the matter, for all has been heard. I'm going to give you a little sneak peek at what the end of Ecclesiastes is. When it's all been said and done, when he's looked at all the things of this life, what is it? Fear God. Fear him. Keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. God made you to stand in awe of him. God made you to spend your life in awe of his majesty, in awe of his beauty, in awe of his power and might, his perfect plan that you don't understand, but that's okay because he's God and you're not. There's nothing better for your life than that you would spend it standing in awe of God. You know that's what you're going to be doing for the next 10 billion years, right? In all of eternity, we're going to work and play and enjoy life doing what? Standing in awe of the God who made us. This is the whole duty of man, to stand in awe and to fear before this incredible God. We have even more reason than Solomon to stand in awe of God. We know not only is it true that God is not chained by time like we are, but we know that God willingly entered time. He came in the flesh. The God who holds the universe together came to live and to die for you. We have a lot of babies around the church right now. Just think about how helpless a little baby is. They have to cry and wait for their parent to come and change their diaper, to eat, to walk, to do anything, to move around. They're not just constrained by time, they're constrained by space and by every limit that they have placed upon them. The God who designed time and stands outside the river of time and sees the whole of the picture at once came to live as a little baby, cried for Joseph to come and change his diaper. That God patiently awaited the time of his death. He hung on the cross and had to wait for his breath, his last breath, to escape from his lungs. That God came in the flesh and spent 3 days in a grave waiting for his day of resurrection. That God who hung on the very hill that he created and looked out over his enemies and said, Father, forgive them, they know not what they do. Who cried out, it is finished. And it was indeed finished. Oh, we have a God worth standing in awe of. A God who is high and lifted up, who is not like us, who is on high in majesty, who is so completely different from us. We can't even understand the way he relates to time. And a God who came in time to make a way for you to have actual relationship with that God. See, if God was just a God so far removed from us that we couldn't even understand him, that would be one thing. But he is not just this God that is wholly different. He is also a God who is entirely present. A God who is entirely near to us. A God who makes a way for us to know this designer of time. This is not just something where it's off in the distance. We just have to trust that the clocks are ticking in the universe and at some point it'll all make sense. No, we have a God who says, I've come to you personally to make you my own. I've come in time, put eternity in your heart that you might call to me and that I might call to you and I might bring you to myself. What an incredible reason to stand in awe of this God and to rejoice in delight in his design of our lives. God may be calling you this morning to take some specific areas of your life, some specific areas where you have tried to be God over time, and instead of trusting him to be God over time. Maybe it's things in your life right now. Maybe it's your family, your career, and your friends, things that you look at and you're just like, God, I don't understand the picture of this, and I'm going to micromanage every moment of my life until I can get these things in the place where they're supposed to be. You've got that puzzle piece and it doesn't fit, but you're just going to keep pushing until it gets into the spot where you think it should be. Or maybe you just don't like the season you're in, and you're the one paddling down the river trying to get to the next season and get past the thing that's happening right now. Listen, we have a God who has designed time and knows exactly where you need to be right now. His purpose for this season of your life is that you would rejoice in him and stand in awe of his power and know that this season has a specific purpose. God doesn't let a tear drop from your eye without purpose. He doesn't let a single moment pass of loneliness without design. He doesn't let a single day go by of grief and sorrow, of joy and rejoicing, of dancing and singing without purpose and design, without it being exactly what's needed for that moment in your life that day. And he invites us to stand in awe of him. I'll invite the worship band to make their way forward. And let me just say this as well. If maybe you're here this morning and for the first time, you have that longing in your heart for meaning. You know that there's a purpose for life. You know that there's a purpose for your life, but you just don't know what it is. I would just invite you this morning that God is calling you and drawing you to stand in awe of him today. To say to God, God, you are God and I am not. My life is yours. I'm not going to save myself. You have done that salvation for me. and begin a relationship with this God who is so high above us, yet so near to us, that he would make you his own child, his son, his daughter, his brother, and his sister. As the band plays, I just want us to take a moment in quiet reflection, just where you are, sitting in your seat. I wonder if there might be an area in your life where you need to surrender to the Lord. Maybe you even just need to take out your journal, your notebook, and fill in this sentence of prayer to the Lord. Lord, you are in control of blank, and I am not. Lord, you're in control of my job search, and I am not. You're in control of my health, and I am not. You're in control of the decisions my adult children make, and I am not. And that's a good thing. You're in control of the day of my death, and I am not. You're in control of my search for companionship, friendship, marriage. Matthew 10:28 says, "Do not fear those who kill the body but cannot kill the soul. Rather, stand in awe of him who can destroy both body and soul in hell. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a penny? And not one of them will fall to the ground apart from your Father. Oh church, oh beloved, even the hairs of your head are all numbered." Say, not even a hair falls out of your head without God's purpose and design. Not one hair goes down the drain of your shower without God's explicit command for it to fall. Fear not, for you are of more value than many sparrows. The God who designed time loves you so much, he sent his Son to die for you. Why would you fear anyone but him? God, you are in control of my life, and I am not. You are in control of all the things that I fear, all the things that I worry, all the things that keep me up at night, all the things that rob my joy and delight in life. You're in control of my discomfort and pain. You're in control of my sleepless nights. You're in control of all the things, the dreams that I have, and the ambitions for life, and the things that I want to see happen. They're yours. Church, a day is coming when we will be raised from the dead. We're going to stand before the God of time, the God who made all of time, and we're going to see him as he is, and we're going to stand in awe and fear of him. What we're talking about when we say standing in awe of him is getting to experience now a little taste of what's coming in eternity. You understand, when you take pleasure in his plan, when you stand in awe of his power and his design, you are enjoying a piece of heaven now. Because there's a day when we're going to stand and we're going to see him, and our hearts will sing and rejoice and be in awe, and we're going to fall on our face, and we're going to dance and jump and rejoice for all of eternity. This is not a heavy command he puts upon us, but an invitation to joy. So as we respond, I want to respond with this song, Worthy of It All, and invite you to sing along and declare to God what is true. Perhaps your heart needs to be reminded that he is worthy of everything in this life. To lift up your incense before him, and invite you, if you would like, if there's an area where you're just struggling to see how it fits into God's picture and you're struggling to see His plan in it, we would love to pray with you. I'll be up here. Corey will be up here. Kevin. We'd love to pray with you. Or if you came with someone, you can turn to them and ask them for prayer. Church, this is a holy moment. We're before a holy God, and this moment is one of those jagged pieces that He's put into place for you to stand in awe of Him, to declare what is true about Him, and to take those things in your heart, in your life that you've been holding on to. You've been trying to be God. You've been paddling upriver. And instead, take the paddle out of the water, see the God who's controlling the stream, and rejoice and enjoy the ride. Lord, would you move on our hearts in this way, Lord Jesus? Would you help us to see that you are indeed worthy of it all? Lord, and as the saints and the angels stand before you, even now, they're standing before your throne declaring, worthy, worthy, worthy is God. Lord, may we join with their voices and sing that you are indeed worthy this morning. May we take the jagged pieces of our lives and hold them up for you, Lord God, and say, worthy, worthy, worthy. Lord, may we see the nail-pierced hands that hold those pieces of our lives, holding them, Lord, this morning. And may we say, worthy, worthy, worthy are you, O God, to be praised, worthy of all glory and honor and praise this morning, now and forevermore. Please stand as we sing.